Here at Be Freaking Awesome, we believe that life is too short to be anything less than extraordinary. Join us as we explore what it means to live authentically, grow continuously, and have a blast while doing it. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Be Freaking Awesome. I'm one of your hosts, Sami here with Angela Belford, and today we are joined by a very special guest, Jamie Lerner. We are going to be diving into, I just think, a really, really fun topic. I actually don't want to reveal anything yet. We're going to, I don't know that it's dun, 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 Angela, but okay. Before we jump in, Jamie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?
Okay. I am a well-being therapist. I used to be a psychotherapist, but I no longer do that because what I found is that I was actually holding people back by asking them to continually look back and talk about the things in the past that in many ways was not serving them to move forward into their life, which I assume people wanted to do. So now I assist people in assisting themselves to getting from where they are to where they want to be. And they basically do that by stepping into their own personal power. And it is a really fun and light and filled with laughter process that I find to be very helpful and joyful.
I love this. And when we sort of had an introduction call before, I remember we talked about the difference between what you were doing and what you are doing. And that it is just, I think sometimes when people approach therapy, what they want is what you're offering now. And what they get is like, we're going to spend years deep diving into your past and unpacking every bad, horrible thing to undo all of, I don't know, to bring light to it. And I think sometimes there is a lot of, there can be value in trying to make some sense of, particularly you had really big traumatic thing happen, especially as a child. Like, I need to reframe that. I need to make sense of that. But then what? Then what are we doing with it? And so I love the purpose you have behind it to really help people kind of answer that question. Now what?
Well, and I would say funny, Sami usually has the contrarian hat on, and so I feel myself having the contrarian hat on today because I have tried to define what's the difference between a coach and a therapist, and I often say a coach is like teaching you how to live forward, and a therapist is often trying to help you heal from, the past. So I love this, what you're doing. And I've had lots of therapists that have argued with me and said, that's not the only thing we do. No, we're absolutely want them to live a better life on a day-to-day basis. It's just that we have to do that so that they can. And I'm like, and I actually, I don't need the whole story. I need to like, oh, look, we've identified there's a root. All I need is to get the weed out. I don't need to know the history of how we dug up and how we planted the root and how that root took, and then we fertilized that little weed, I don't need all of that so I love this. Specifically, well, I should probably let you, if I'm going to be contrarian, I should not jump into a question.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think this process does both. I think we can look back to isolate something that happened that made it feel traumatic, but can we do it from our right here adult perspective?
Mm-hmm.
When we can do that, we're acknowledging something did happen, whatever that was, but we see it and feel it and experience it very differently.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, we're able to identify a superpower that we have taken from that experience. That experience has shaped us in a way that right here in our now makes us powerful. So I think we can do both. And yet there are many people that want the psychotherapy because it becomes their lifelong excuse not to move forward in their life. Because when you have invested yourself in an identity of what happened when you were young, and then someone is offering you an option to maybe, like, I don't know, shift that a little bit, update it, that sometimes feels very threatening to people. So it's good
Mhm.
that there is all kinds of therapy out there for people. And I think that it's important that we educate people that there are options and that they should feel around and choose what feels best for them.
I love that. Yeah, not all therapy is the same. I have some friends that even when they were like, "Oh, I finally started going to therapy because I had this big thing and I hated my therapist. It was awful." And I'm like, "Okay, do you know how many therapists are out there? Like, therapy wasn't awful. You had a bad experience with one person. Maybe it was even this type of therapy. Maybe it was like there's anyway." So I had to like guide and to be like, maybe it's not just therapy, but we still have things that we need to address, and finding an external partner to help us make sense of and figure out what are we doing with this thing is so valuable.
I just the metaphor that just popped in my head, and maybe it's invalid, so feel free to, somebody else contrarian. But what I was thinking is like when we were in school, there were teachers that they were fine. And then there were teachers that inspired us and that they charged us up and we like may have found our passion in life. And then other ones that are like, oh yeah, I don't even remember who my algebra teacher was because they were fine. And then there were teachers that were like, they were horrible. My husband was a French student. In 8th grade, he got the male French award for his whole school. And in 9th grade French, the teacher was terrible by whatever 9th grade boys assessed that by. And he stopped taking French and actually didn't even like to speak French. He grew up in Canada, which is super weird, until he got to college and thought he'd take an easy class. But like a teacher can make such a difference for us. And so if we can all see that, then maybe it can help everybody. It's a little more universal than maybe a therapist. One might inspire you and one might be fine and one might be terrible. I actually was telling the story recently of a terrible therapist that helped me and changed the whole trajectory of my life.
See, there you go. That's a good reframe. I think that the bottom line is that people need permission. They need
Mm,
permission to identify what they think and feel is best for themselves. And we don't often get that permission. So this process is helpful in kind of redirecting people back inward.
I like
hmm.
that.
I
I
love
think that's a really good segue into what we wanted to talk a little bit about today. One of the things that you enjoy talking about is the art of allowing. So it sort of sounds similar to permission giving. Tell us more about this concept, the art of allowing.
So the art of allowing is an art and it's a practice. And it's not quite as easy as it sounds.
Hmm.
Although to get there and to be able to move about the world like this is so lovely. When we love ourselves and trust ourselves, we tend to allow others to be where they are and who they are because we have allowed ourselves to be where we are and who we are. So the art of allowing really involves
Yeah.
minding your own business
I love it. No, that's so true though.
and focusing on what you think and feel is best for you. And when you step into that and you own that and know it, then you tend to extend other people the same courtesy, just vibrationally. So we look out with the same kind eye at others that we're looking inward.
Mhm.
And we're not judging them because we don't really care what they do. Whatever they do, they must feel is best for them, but it's none of our business because we are so involved in doing what we feel is best for ourselves.
I think that's
Oh,
really beautiful. Yes, Angela.
I'm gonna
Not
unpack my
doing it.
journey. I'm so excited about this because number one, a huge believer and hugely agree with you because I have seen for years and years and years, I I tried to work on not judging my husband. I like, okay, I want to be more accepting of my husband. And what I learned is that I can only love and accept him to the level I love and accept myself. And so, as I solved for my own issues with, am I lovable? Am I capable? Am I enough? All the things I talk about in my book, longtime listeners are used to hearing about, that they I naturally, without trying, didn't have to judge him. I didn't judge him as much as I used to because I was just like, "Oh, I I don't need to judge him because he's just him. You do you, boo." I say that so much now. You do you, boo. And so, but here's where I want to talk about my journey is because I have recently, in the last year and a half, been in a situation that I have a lot less control, I guess, if I'm going to be really super honest with the diagnostics. Right. And I'm much more, I would have told you I've always been a member of a team, but it turns out I've always been a member of a team that I was the team leader. So I got to make the final decision. And now I'm in a situation where I'm a member of the team and I don't get to make the final decision. And oh my goodness, it is challenging my allowingness, my journey of allowing, because then this person that is making these decisions and that is doing the thing, they're making my life harder. And it is harder to allow them to be whoever they are because they're making my life harder. And I didn't even see it till just this moment when you were explaining it. So thank you.
Mm.
All judgment is projection. It's never about the other. It just isn't. And people have a really hard time hearing that. I mean, we live in a victim society where we are not rewarded for taking personal responsibility. So everything is someone else's fault. But that's just not the case. And when you talk about being in a relationship and really extending that courtesy to allow another to make the decision for themselves, that feels good. And if you somehow are tangled up in that, then in the most respectful and loving way, I suggest to people that that is a reflection of maybe a little bit of work that you have to do regarding yourself. And that's
100%.
a beautiful gift.
Well, and in the situation, Angela, that you have faced, there have been a couple of times where you've asked, like, can I get perspective? Aren't I completely right and justified in this? And I'm like, you are right. And can you not see that that person's decision that is negatively impacting your workload and your stress levels, their decision is only made out of insecurity and their judgment of their own selves? Like, isn't that as somebody who's not in the situation, is not living it day to day, for me, it's easy for me to be like, oh wow, the voices in that person's head are loud and I can see them over here. Whew. I like, that must be tough to live in their body and to live in their brain. But it's an interesting in that, like, I don't know that it's judgment, but it's like I can see and I have
It's called
compassion.
compassion. Yes.
Compassionate observation. Yeah.
And that goes a long way.
And I think that it's a journey. I have not gotten here just like woke up one day and now I can see everybody with compassion. And I get just as annoyed, Angela, when you point to me and say, you know, that person that you're annoyed with, like, and that you're mad at, like, well, maybe they have some hard things going on. I'm like, don't remind me of their humanity. I just want to be vindicated. Like, no. But it's like, you're right. Everybody, they're, whatever person's bad actions or bad behavior almost certainly is not because of you, is because of whatever is going on inside of them. Maybe we
How,
can be compassionate about that.
However, it is triggering something in you that's creating a reaction. And that's the thing to
True.
look at because ultimately, this is not about other people. Like, we're never going to control what other people do. So, can we be in a situation where we're amongst a lot of people who are maybe speaking very negatively about many different things? Can we be there and selectively sift? Which
Mhm.
means that we can only hear the parts of the conversation that resonate with us. And we don't really hear the other things because they don't resonate with us and they have nothing to do with us.
I like that. And I think that I have young children right now that my oldest is starting to get into the phase of like, when we tell him he can't do something, I don't like you, mom. I don't like this. And I think that if I had more insecurity that was like, oh my gosh, I'm a bad mom, when he says something like, "I don't like you, mom," and I hate you, it would hit me different and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I am a bad mom." Whereas right now I'm like, yeah, I would be mad too if somebody was telling me I had to stop playing and go to bed, but yep, you still have to stop like, I get that you don't like me right now, and you're allowed to not like me right now, and I'm still gonna hold the rule that this is what we're doing. My job is to care for you, and letting you stay up till 11 p.m. as a 6-year-old is not fulfilling my obligations to take care of you. Therefore, you get to be mad at me, and that's fine. You are allowed to be mad at me, and it doesn't have to mean anything about me. And I think that because I have done a lot to feel very confident in my mothering, I'm like, sure, be mad. You're allowed. Maybe that's the art of allowing. You're allowed to be mad at me.
Well,
It doesn't have to mean.
absolutely, and you don't have to take it personally, and it's really important that we acknowledge our children's feelings, but that's way different than letting them run the show. It's
Right. You're allowed to be mad. You're still going to bed. Both are true. um I love that. When you also said that allowing it's an art and a practice.
it's a practice.
Oof.
I mean,
Yeah.
we it's something that it's interesting because once we do it for ourselves, it's not a practice, it's a reflex. But to
Mm.
do it for ourselves really requires people to reconnect with themselves, to tune into themselves, to start to understand that they are their own greatest resource, to trust themselves. And that is a very different process than the way most people have been raised or educated.
Yeah.
So it's a re-education, and yet it's very freeing and empowering.
Where do you encourage people start with that? Especially, I feel like, as adults, we can end up in this spot where it's like, I don't know the last time I did the best thing for myself. And I don't know, where do we start?
Well, I think, we start small. And I ask people to sit with themselves for 5 minutes in the morning or whatever time is good and ask yourself, what are the things that you appreciate about you? Not what other
Mm.
people appreciate about you, but what do you really appreciate about you? One thing. And that is hard for people to isolate. But when they do, that's the
Mhm.
beginning of
Yeah.
redirecting the focus.
Wow. I really think, yeah, because there are a lot of things even just coming to mind immediately that I'm like, oh, yeah, my husband appreciates this about me, and my work appreciates this about me, and my kids appreciate this about me. But yeah, no, that's really good.
And it's
And
small, it's manageable, it's doable. And every day it could be something different. Hopefully, every day it will be something different. And then the list grows about what you value in you.
okay, so what about, we talked about the practice that you said once once it becomes so natural, it's just the reflex. What about the art? What does that mean for it to be an art of allowing?
Well, the thing that really is difficult for people to understand is we need to let everybody off the hook. I mean, every,
Hmm. Everyone?
every. So I know. My kids are grown. I have grandchildren, but they have a really hard time with this.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm like earlier on time to everything. And I have friends that are late for everything. So I know they're going to be late. I don't really care. As long as I can do me and be there either early or on time, I don't really care if they're late. And if I care so much that they're late, I will choose not to make plans with them.
Mm. Okay.
So you've let the person off the hook and you have made a really good plan for yourself. Certain friends, when I make plans with them, I know 50% of the time they won't even show up. So then I just make a backup plan for myself. It's like perfect. Or I'm like, okay, if you need to cancel, okay. Like, same thing with a podcast. Sometimes at the last minute, I'm like, okay, like, no worries. Like, so when you are in that great place with yourself and you know how you operate the best, you tend to not care about
Mm.
how you interact with other people because you're true to yourself. You're not going to not show up earlier on time. because that's who you are. You're not going to criticize them because of who they are. You know who they are. Okay.
Hmm. I feel like there's also a confidence in that of just being really sure of yourself and very present with who you are, that I feel like even that piece though, like that gets tricky to within our own selves to say, no, no, I'm gonna let myself be, allow myself be who I am. I don't have to change who I am for others.
And because of that, I am not going to ask others to change for me. That is the tricky part.
That does sound like the tricky part. I don't like that. I mean,
I
I
know.
want to like it, but I don't.
But when you get into that space of feeling so good where you are and who you are, you truly understand. And you don't need to ask other people to be different.
Hmm. I like that a lot. Angela, did you have thoughts?
I think where it gets hard is that, like, when the intersection of boundaries. I love your example of, like, if other people aren't going to show up on time, you know, then I'm going to let them be that way. And there's so many times that I do a great job at that because, if somebody's late to like a Zoom call, I'm like, sweetie, I'm sitting at my desk. I don't care. I've still got work to do. Or they're late for coffee, and I'll be like, no problem. I've got a phone. Like, I can sit here and I can check an email or I can do whatever. No, look, I just got 5 minutes back in my time. So often I can do that. And the 20% of the time I can't do it, or the 5% of the time, is the part that really causes my suffering. I'm sitting here like processing through that and going like, okay, well, what is the common thread of when you're able to be that way and when you're not? And for me, it relates to um, I have been contracted to do work and people pay me to do a job. And then those same people who pay me to do a job then make it difficult for me to do the job. And so I think we've set parameters and expectations and we've talked through a process, and then they want to do all the things, and then I'm like, it's I don't think it's when it's a personal relationship, because I think I can be really chill about those things, but it's when like things don't happen. And what I have seen from these individuals is that then 2, 3, 4 months from now, why haven't you gotten that done? And I'm like, I tried. You won't make a decision. Like, and so then like that, I don't like that they, then are kind of calling me out on like I didn't deliver on the promise I made. And I'm like, and yet you do you understand? And so I am getting better at communicating and saying, okay, well then based on your timing on making the decision, if you're not comfortable making this decision, that's fine. Then we have to change the date of this. Like, do you understand that this is the impact of you wanting to hold on to that decision? And that has helped because then I'm like, okay, well, now you can't yell at me. I guess they can yell at me, but it's just unpleasant to get for people to be upset with you, and the lack of personal responsibility that they take for their part of it. And it's like, I
Are
don't
these,
understand. I don't understand how you get to not make a decision that impacts my ability to do this. And then you also get to yell at me that I didn't get it done. I
are
don't
these
understand how
people
this
that
works.
you work for or work for you?
She works for them.
So you allow yourself, believe it or not, to get roped into this. I know you're not
Mm.
going to agree. It's okay. So you actually are anticipating this is going to happen with this person, right?
I
When
don't know.
you
I feel like I keep resetting. Like, oh, now okay, I'm gonna try a new way of doing this. Okay, cool. That way didn't work. So maybe if I present it like this, and if I present it like this, then I go this way. And I'm like, okay, I found four
and
ways that didn't work. Let's try
right,
again. I don't think
okay,
I'm anticipating that they're gonna be like that. Maybe I am subconsciously, but
okay, but consistently they've shown up as who they are, right? Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So people don't change. They don't. So the question is, how can you feel better about interacting with this person without changing them?
Yes.
Mm.
So 4 attempts to
Yes.
change
That is the
their
question.
behavior, and that's why you're so frustrated. 4 attempts to change who they are. That clearly is not going to work because they're not
I
going to change who they are. I mean, that's great that you've done that, that you've given them this kind of like opportunity to be different so you guys can actually complete the task on time because that's the assignment, right? How can you feel better about this interaction with this person who's clearly never going to change?
Mm.
Well, what I was going to say though is what I thought I heard you say was that you have tried 4 different ways to change them, and I the way I perceive my actions is this: I need information from this person, and I tried to present it in this way so that I could get the information. That didn't work. So I'm going to change my approach and try this way. And so my perception isn't that I'm trying to change them. My perception is that I tried a method to get this information. I tried another method. I've tried another method. I've tried another method, and I'm just like, okay. And so literally this morning I called and I was like, "Can I get some feedback because this is how I'm trying to get decisions made. What where can I how can I improve my process so that it makes this easier and this process easier for you guys to be able to make a decision and so that I can continue to do my job and deliver value as I, want to." And it was really funny because one of the two, I was like, "Oh, no, I think your approach is good."
Because
Okay.
there is no perception that there is a problem. So you are worrying about the deadline that these people have no expectation is going to be met.
But they do have expectation that it's going to get met. And when the deadline's not met, they're actually going to be very disappointed in me
Well,
and express
there
that disappointment in ways that are unhelpful.
and has that happened? That has
Oh yeah,
happened? Okay. So
100% it has happened. This is not an imagined fear. This is an actual lived
okay.
experience fear.
So I mean, so you're in a situation where you're being set up to fail every single time because the people that are asking something of you are not interested in participating in the supposed collective outcome. That's the problem, right?
Yeah. One of
So
the
Ooh,
things that Angela and I have talked about within this also is that balancing the frustrating side of the work with the rewarding side of the work. That the reward does at
yes.
times balance the frustration out. That the impact made makes it so, like, you know what, I will tolerate this decision and this treatment because I do really value this. But I think that goes back to allowing to say, fine, I will allow you to frustrate me because I
well,
want to
frustration.
contribute.
So the part that you get to choose is the frustration.
Right.
You can choose to know how this system is run and understand it differently so you don't take it personally. You could just understand it as this very, in some ways, broken systemic part of this company that's not going to change. But the other thing you could do is you could offer a secondary date. Like if we for some reason don't meet this date, I think that we should also put on the calendar that this is the backup date. And I think that would be helpful to give everyone a little leeway and for expectation and delivery and maybe something would come up and you wouldn't be able to make this decision. And, I just think that if you gave them a little more room, that would make you feel better.
Because I was no, what I was going to say is I do think that it's the do I allow the frustration? How do the frustration is the piece I have to solve for right now. I
Mm.
absolutely agree with you. Because and I was telling the story to another coworker who similarly gets, and it's like they gonna do what they gonna do. And so I try to, like, you know what? They gonna do what they gonna do. And so and that to try to like, okay, I'm just gonna they gonna do what they gonna do. All I can do is what I can do. And
So
so
we don't, when we stop taking it personally, we disengage our ego, and then we don't have those feelings anymore of being frustrated with people and imposing our expectations on them, because it's really of no consequence.
hmm, I
It's
don't know.
about,
When people say don't take it personally, I don't think I know what that means. I literally, because I've had several people say,
okay,
why it's not, you can't, why are you taking it personally? And I'm like, I'm not taking it personally. Like, I care about my job. Like, I don't know what that, I think I don't know what that means.
okay. So to take it something personally would be that whatever the behavior is that someone is exhibiting, they're directing it towards you. But they aren't. They are just directing it. And they freaking direct it at everybody. You just happen to be the person at that moment that they're interacting with. This has nothing to do with you. Zero. And it's not a reflection of you. And when you begin to understand that, which is very different than not taking personal responsibility, this is taking the ultimate personal responsibility. You're taking personal responsibility for showing up, for doing your job, for doing exactly what they hired you to do. And you have to allow these other people to show up as who they are. It doesn't have anything to do. They're not going to change for you because you're a great employee. They're not going to change for you for any reason whatsoever. There's nothing to do with you. And therein kind of in some ways lies the problem. Then people don't feel important. It's like, oh my God, you have to feel important to you. Like this is where that feeling of self-love and self-worth comes from. If we were dependent on other people to get what we need, we would feel like all of us do, like shit. Because people are projecting how they feel like shit onto us all day long if we allow it.
Hmm. I hear what you're saying and I can see the nuance of it. And when you say it doesn't have anything to do with you, there's nuance in that too, because I'm like, it directly impacts me. The way they
Oh,
are directly impacts me. And so, but I hear what you're saying that there is a difference. Like they're not doing it because of me.
no,
They're
and they're not
doing
doing it to
if
you.
any other human were in
They would
front
do
of
it
them,
back.
they would do the thing. So,
Yes.
to your point, you're not special.
No, so that's what I tell people.
Yeah.
You're not, this person treats everybody that way. So that's what feels uncomfortable. It's like then we feel like, oh, so we don't matter? Well, we do matter, but we have to matter to ourselves.
Okay, then I have another question, and hope everybody else is getting something from this because I'm gonna get stuff out of this. But what about when the person one day they are very much about being, you know, kind and treating you in the way that makes you feel very special, and then the next day you have this completely different. So when you say that it's not about you because anybody that was standing in front of them, it's literally a different day of the week, you get a different response. And I can even see that in my husband, like
Okay.
if he
So the person that is being so kind to you that day clearly is feeling connected to themselves and good about themselves. And the next day they're not. So you get how they feel about themselves. That's what you get. It's projection. When you go out in the world and feel good about yourself, you cast a kind eye to everybody. It's coming from you. You feel good about you. Your eye sees goodness in others. When you're having a bad day and you don't feel good about yourself, even if you don't know why, you tend to find judgment and shit in everybody. And it's irritating and annoying and it's everybody else, it's everything, but it's not. In that moment, you have to like laugh and understand that you're disconnected from you.
I think that that also
truth
in
bomb.
in some ways that it's hard that it's like, when they're being mean to you or however we want to interpret that, it's not about you. But when they're being nice to you, it's also not about you. It's
So
it's
no.
still not about you. And that's
It's never
complicated.
it's never about you. That's why it's so important for you to redirect yourself inward and create the you that you want to feel all the time, where you're not dependent on anybody to feel good.
I recently I got this really big compliment from somebody, and I was like, that's lovely. And I know that if I don't want people's criticism to impact how I feel, then I also can't allow a big compliment to change how I feel. But what I can do is I can listen to the compliment and I can decide, is that how I feel about myself? Is that how I want to think about myself? Because they were saying there was something about me that was a really, like, they liked how I was thinking about something. And I was like, I'm going to try on that thought for myself. You know what? I do. Oh, I do appreciate that I really have a really interesting perspective about that thing. And so I think that some of the time I get this, but my husband was like, wait a minute, hold on. If you don't allow the compliment, if you don't want the criticism, you also can't allow the compliment to change how you feel. It was a big learning for him, and I loved trying that on. I can still try on, like, oh, somebody sees something in me. Oh, yeah, I do think that about I'm gonna take that and think that about myself.
Okay, so that's all ego, and I appreciate that. However, what I do want to say is, in a very kind way to you, is that if somebody is giving you a compliment, feel if it resonates with you.
Right.
Not from here, but from here. Like, does that feel good to you because that's how you are feeling about you? Or does that feel good to you because you are getting external validation?
Jamie, thank you so much. If you could leave people with one thing, one encouragement, one send off into the world, what would you want to leave people with?
That you are your own greatest resource and that every single thing that you want and need is within. It is
Hmm.
absolutely 100% within.
Oh man, that's so good. Where can people find you if they want to work with you, learn more about what you're doing? Where can they find you?
I have a website, www.jamie-lerner.com.
Okay, and we'll put that link in the show notes. And how do you work with people? Do you work with people in person, virtually? Can anybody work with you?
I have the Quickie, a lovely texting option, which is
Mhm.
a great way to work with me. I Zoom with people, I talk with them on the phone. Yes, and that really works great.
I love
So
it. Thank you so much for being here today and for being a part of the conversation and for pushing both of us in ways that make us feel good and challenged. I think we both value challenge a lot and that pushing outside of the comfort zone and not just staying where it feels safe, but also that little bit of a stretch to like, ooh, I don't love it, but I'm gonna listen, and that's okay. That journey for anybody listening that's like, oh, I don't like that at all. That's fine. Or if you love that, that's fine. We're gonna allow all of that and see where it takes us. So thank you so much for
thank
this
you for inviting
conversation.
me.
This is so good. And until next time, everyone, we hope you guys go be freaking awesome.